as well, so that I can at least see the questions via my mobile phone.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it on the stream here too. But, no problem. You can
Okay.
you have to reduce the volume of your mobile phone so that you know
Oh yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
will not.
Okay. Okay, so I guess we can start now, right?
Yes, so we are live now. So let's just wait for about 2 to 3 minutes for some more persons to come in.
Okay.
Okay, I think we have some persons in the studio too, in StreamYard, but I will not be put them into this, um, so that their icons will not show up. All right. So we can start. Definitely, it's a recorded video. So those who might miss it can definitely go back to the recording on YouTube. All right. So welcome everyone for coming into this week's webinar. We are going to be discussing about how to begin your career as a sales analyst, and we have our speaker with us, Miss Omolola Grace, and she is a sales ecosystems analyst at Accenture. So thank you very much for being here with us today, Miss Omolola. So we look forward to having a great webinar today. So thank you. Up to you.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone. I hope you can all hear me well. Actually, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Michael. First of all, I would just like to thank you for the opportunity because I mean this is my first time doing something like this, and I hope that I would give it my best shot. So thank you again, everyone, for joining this webinar, and I hope I meet you all's expectation. And if not, please forgive me because I mean this is my first. There's always a first time to everything. So let's get started. I'll be sharing my screen, or I'm already sharing my screen actually. Right. So today I will be speaking on starting your career as a sales analyst, ecosystem sales enablement analyst. That's actually what I do. And just a little bit of introduction about myself. My name is Omolola Grace Irere. I'm from Edo State, originally from Edo State, but I lived in Lagos all my life. And I currently live in the Czech Republic. I arrived in Czech Republic to study my bachelor's um, back at of 2020, yeah, 2016. So I arrived in Czech Republic 2016. So I've been in the Czech Republic for about 7 years now. And as I said earlier, I came for study purpose. So I studied in the Czech University of Life Science. I did my bachelor's and I also did my master's. And I just completed my master's last year, actually, in economics and management. So I currently work with Accenture, and I should be 2 years in September with Accenture. So I'm quite new, if we'll put it that way. And I work as an ecosystem sales and implement analyst. So we're going to get started. I don't know if I mean, I'll be getting feedbacks from you all. So when you hear, I mean, about sales analysts, what comes to your mind? You can drop your opinions and your answers in the chat box. Like, what do you think about when you hear about sales analysts? What comes to your mind when you actually, hear this word, or anyone asks you, okay, who's a sales analyst? What comes to your mind? So if you can please just type your responses so that I can see them. Do we have people responding? Okay. Waiting for a few more seconds to see if anyone is going to respond. Like, what comes to mind when you hear, about sales analyst? Who is a sales analyst to you? I mean, just one word or anything. Feel free.
Yeah, we don't have any feedback yet. Still.
All right, no problem. So let's continue then. Okay, so a sales analyst is actually a person who helps to increase sales and revenue of a company. And this cannot only be achieved, by running several competitive analysts, forecasting and making recommendations on how the sales, marketing team and other teams can move forward. So they are like in charge of, all the reporting, making analysis for the company and forecasting what the market will look like or what the pricing will look like, and making recommendations, for sales representatives, marketers, and other, team members in order for them to move forward on the project. So the next part, I am not a sales analyst. Actually, as I already mentioned earlier, I'm actually an ecosystem sales and implement analyst. So which makes my work a bit different from what a sales analyst would do normally. So as it has been mentioned earlier, a sales analyst is someone who actually, helps in making competitive analysis, giving recommendations and all of that. But in my case, I am there to like support the sales analyst in terms of, supporting the local teams, which we can also call the sales, team, and the alliance sales directors in resales opportunity for the UKI market. So UKI is like United Kingdom and Ireland, which is what I work for. I mean the CGs or client group that I work for. So it's the UK and then the Ireland market. So also we work, I mean, like end-to-end processing of resale. So from the beginning of the selling process to the end, which is like the quoting, the purchase, the delivery, up to the invoicing stage. So I'm just gonna give a scenario or a little bit of background on what I do. So for example, when the sales representative, helps to, you know, contact the clients regarding a particular product that they are willing to like purchase from us, then they get back to us, who is like the sales, enablement analyst, to like create a sales code for the clients. And then once we are done with that, we send it back to them. They share with the client, and if they are fine with the pricing, they get back to us with something called PO. It's called purchase order. And using that, we can analyze what the client wants and also, you know, put it as a commitment of the client. We send the product to the client, and then once it's been delivered, we invoice them. So it's like end-to-end process of reselling. So just so you know, Accenture serve like as a middle person between the client and the vendor. So we are not necessarily selling anything, but we are just like the middle person or middleman between our partner, which we can also call the vendor, and then our clients. So yeah, so that's basically what Accenture does. We just add our margin and then send everything to the client. And also we help to like manage vendor portals for due registrations. So when there is a due, we are able to get into the vendor portals to create due registrations regarding the particular product or licensing or services that the client might be willing to purchase. And we have various vendors. I mean, we have IBM as our vendor, we have Atlassian, Cisco, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, name them. So they are all our vendors. And we also call them partners because we have like a partnership contract with them whereby we are able to, get some little discounts, for being partners. And then we just had our margin and sell to our clients. And also we have like a strong relationship with them, which makes it easier and faster for the clients to be able to get what they want, faster, and they can trust us to deliver. Yeah, so what are the major technical skills that you need for this role? Actually, it's just two. Just two. It's nothing serious actually. Um, you need Excel and SAP. And when I speak about Excel, I'm talking about intensive Excel skills, not just on the peripheral. So if you are gonna, I mean, this was one of probably the mistake I made when I was applying because I thought, Excel was like the basic Excel skills was what they needed. And I put in my CV that, yeah, I have Excel skills and I mean, it should be okay. They need basic, yeah, but for you to be able to, climb up the ladder and also get to experience more in the team, you need intensive use of Excel. So, for example, we have pivot table, indexes, VLOOKUP, being able to use macros, formulas, anything that would help you analyze data. You need it. you need it. And the second skill is SAP skill. So you need to be able to use SAP. It doesn't matter which one, because if you are familiar with SAP, you would know that SAP is actually quite broad. There is a lot of SAP software. There are a lot of them. So it doesn't matter which one, but just know how to use it, know how to use the T codes. T codes means transaction codes. So be familiar with how to store data. Also in SAP, upload data using Excel. And Excel and SAP, they actually work hand in hand, because in my case, I don't know about other um, job roles, but in my case, you cannot use SAP without Excel. So basically, you have to transport whatever you have in Excel to SAP. So there is a way you merge them together. That's where the macros comes in. Using of macros comes in. So you have to know how to merge them together and use them to store and you know relate data to your client. So the basic interpersonal skills that you would need for this role is proactiveness. You have to be proactive. Um, Maybe I'll give more insight on that. So being proactive in the sense of knowing when to pick up a task, because I we work based on request. So it's not like there is a certain amount of workload for you, every day. You cannot really predict. So there is usually a how will I put it? There usually requests coming in, right? Every day. Some days, maybe not. But when they come in, you need to be proactive in picking up those tasks. Maybe nobody will tell you, okay, this is for you, or you're supposed to take it, but you have to be very proactive. So this is something that you need to have even before you step into a role. You need to know how to, proactively respond to request and workload. Also, ability to work independently. I know most company usually wants someone who is a team player, someone who's able to work in team and all of that. Yeah, Accenture wants that as well, but you also need to be able to work independently. From the start, yes, you'll be working in a team, but then for you to grow in a team, for you to move in the ladder, you have to be able to work on your own, without the help of anybody, because there'll be times where maybe your supervisor is not around, nobody's around to help you. You should be able to, think critically on your own. You should be able to attend to matters on your own. The job requires critical thinking and being able to solve critical issues, critical problems as well. And you must be able to investigate, resolve accounting payable invoice issues. You need to be able to come up with ideas on how to make it work, how to make it move. So not relying on anyone to help you. Of course, you might have some of your colleagues that you can ask questions and will be able to help you, but when they are not there and you're alone, you might be able to you know think for yourself. And being organized, so creating priorities in this regards is just you being able to prioritize your work. A lot of requests will come at once, but you must be able to organize them in order of priority. Okay, which one comes first? Which one comes second? Which one comes third? And you might get some cases where everything actually comes in as urgent, right? And then you are thinking, okay, what am I supposed to do in this case? I mean, everything is urgent and all of that. I mean, this is a bit beyond your control, so you might just have to discuss with whoever the request is for, or whoever it came from, that okay, sorry, this came first and it's also urgent as yours. I might have to look into this first. Don't worry, immediately I would treat yours. And usually it's not a problem, right? But you must be able to organize your work when you know that there is a task given to you that has a deadline. You should be able to meet up with the deadline. you should be able to meet up with the deadline. Because if you start slacking, missing deadlines and all of that, it just shows that you are not ready for the job, or you are not responsible enough to take the job. So ability to learn. So this was one of the things that helped me during my interview. I'm going to speak on it later. One of the things that helped me so much during my interview. So ability to learn, ability to to be able to how will I put it, being spontaneous. Yeah, that's the word. So being spontaneous and open to new things. It's not a robotic job. It's not a job that is systematic, fully systematic. Like, yeah, every job should be systematic, but this is not fully systematic. So it means that you are challenged with different approach every day. There's a new thing basically to learn, a new skill to learn, a new case to solve, a you know new things to solve every day. And that's one of my favorite thing about this job, because I have worked in the past as junior analyst, customer service, and there is just a certain way you work. There is a certain templates. There's a certain, everything is just robotic. But then this job is a bit flexible in such a way that you're faced with different challenges every day, and it helps you grow and learn more about the job. So the last one is SME. I'm sure you guys might be thinking, okay, what is SME? Or maybe some of you have heard of it before. It's actually subject matter expert. So you being able to be an expert in a particular skills. What do I mean? So, for example, we have a lot of applications that we work with, not just Excel and SAP. Those are just like the major skills or major app that you'll be using day to day. But we have other skills, other apps that you're going to be using. We have EOP, we have we have yeah, let me not go into that, but you might not really understand them. So we have several applications actually. So you being able to take, being an expert probably in the use of EOP is something that the company wants or needs, or being able to be an expert in a particular vendor portal. So like you are the only one that knows how to use the portal properly. Not the only one, but you are one of the people who can use the portal properly, extensively. Like you have so much expertise in that regards, such as you can actually train other people. So when they come in, they can say, "Oh, she's an expert in using the app. She's an expert in using Atlassian portal. She's an expert with working with Cisco portal. She's an expert in doing this and doing that." So this is not something that you probably know beforehand. It's something that you learn on the job. So don't just be too relaxed and just do your work. You don't really care about growing in a particular aspect, or being an expert in a particular activity that pertains to the job. So don't be too relaxed. Try to master your expertise. You might not master your expertise in all of the apps and all of the activities, but you need to be able to be an expert in at least one of them, so that you can be an SME. So SME, sorry, I think I mentioned it already. SME is subject matter expert. Yeah. So you are an expert in that subject. You're an expert in that activity, and you know how to train other people about it. You know how to talk about it. Like when they wake you up, you can actually speak on it or train others in that regard. So that's what SME means. So these are like the interpersonal skills. Also, I didn't write everything. Also, you need to have a good communication skills. You need to have a very, very good communication skills. In my case, I work in a very diverse environment. where we have like almost people from every country, working there. People from the UK, people from the Czech Republic, from um, America, from a lot of places. Actually, I mean, I can't remember them right now, but we are diverse. So being able to communicate with each and every one of them is very, very important. Very, very important for your job to go smoothly and everything, because you will need to communicate, and also you need to be a good um email constructor. So what do I mean? You need to be able to construct emails in a way that everybody understands. So as I said earlier, I work per request. So it means that I only handle emails. So it's not, I know there are some jobs that you might probably have other areas where you communicate with your colleagues or your, I don't know, your people. But in my case, it's extensively by email. So you have to know how to use email correctly, not the informal way we use emails these days, but professionally, you need to know how to construct email. You need to know how to write that they would understand. I'm sure that this shouldn't be a problem for, you know, Nigerians like us, because English is our first language. But then there are some people who might not be comfortable, because they are not used to emails, and probably this is their first time working, using emails. So you need to learn that beforehand. So how to kickstart your career? I mean, this is like what we are focusing on right today. So I have like five ways on how to do that. So if this is like your first time, you know, this is something that you are interested in, a job role that you think you can look into in the future, then I think these 5 steps would help you. They might seem so basic and, you know, very, I don't know how to put it, basic and simple, but it's something that will really, really help you, to be honest. So build your CV. So I'm going to give you like a backup story about myself, how I actually landed myself in this um, role and in this company. Let me say this first. Accenture is not a company that everybody gets to work, right? It's not a company that, I would like put it, it's very easy to, work with, or just, do anyhow in the interview and then they will just pick you. It's really, really difficult to get into Accenture, especially when it comes to interviews and all of that. So, just so you know, before I even got this particular role, I have applied to Accenture several months before as a, I think, financial analyst or something like that. I applied and I didn't get the job. Like, I didn't pass the second stage of the interview because I think I didn't have enough experience that they were looking for, and maybe I was not able to defend myself. I would use that. I would say I wasn't able to defend myself to some extent, actually. So then I went back and I built up my CV with a sprinkle of, like, how will I put it? Just adding more to it, even though at that time maybe I didn't have that skill, or I didn't have that particular thing that they were looking for. So I just put it there, by faith. But then I didn't stop there. If you don't have the necessary skills, you need to learn it. I didn't have SAP skills, and my Excel skill was very, very shallow. I mean, I just know how to use those basic formula, sum if, equal sum, and all of those things. And I felt like, yeah, I know Excel. I mean, so I started with that, and it was just, you know, on the peripheral, right? I put in SAP, I put in Excel as some skills that I am familiar with, but I didn't just put it and then went to sleep. I actually went to research on them to know, what these skills are about. I mean, if you don't know something, you need to actually research on it, at least learn it for few weeks before your interview or few days before your interview. So I went on YouTube, I did some research, watched some videos on how to use SAP, what it is used for, what software it is, and all of that. So I did my own personal research, and it gave me like a basic knowledge. Meanwhile, they were actually looking for the basics. They were not expecting you to be an expert, you know. So it was just the basics they needed. So I did that, and then I prepared well for my interview. So the way you prepare for your interview is also checking online as well for past interviews that some people have done. If you use Glassdoor, I don't know if we are all familiar with Glassdoor, but Glassdoor is actually a how will I put it? It's like a job website, just like LinkedIn. So where you can get jobs, search for opportunities and all of those things. So Glassdoor has this particular way of showing you um, responses of people that have done interview in that particular role before, and getting to tell you little things they asked them and all of that. But in my case, I didn't find any because the job role seems very new. And when I first heard the name, I'm like, what is ecosystem? Blah blah blah. What's that? And I actually applied as the name being Ecosystem Sourcing Analyst. So it's actually different from what it is now. They just changed the name recently. So I actually applied as an Ecosystem Sourcing Analyst. So I was a bit taken aback because I'm like, what does that even mean? I've never heard of it before in my life. But then, reading through the requirements and everything, it looks like a very, simple job, but trust me, it's not that simple. It's not that simple, but yeah, it's manageable. Like, I mean, it's something that I feel like if you're a fast learner, if you're someone that's willing to learn, if you're open minded, you should be able to work. You know, you should be able to work with them or in that role. So I prepared so well for my interview, and I got like the first call, which is a phone call. Usually, Accenture does three steps interview. So first one is the phone call. Second one is the what's it called now? The the main interview, I would say, and then the third one is like the roundup interview. So even if you get to the third stage, you don't be too sure that you've gotten the job. But in my case, I was a bit ascertained, that I already had the job when I did the third interview. So I was like, okay, looks like things are looking on the bright side. But usually, I just recently found out that even if you get to the third stage, you might still be kicked out for some reasons that might not even be your fault. Well, yeah, just to give it your best shot, really. And when you are doing your interview, be bold. When I mean be bold, be confident in what you're saying. Don't how will I put it? Don't stammer a lot. I know that it can be really frustrating, and it can be really tensed. Like you can be really tensed because you are talking to someone you do not know, and your anxiety is a bit on the high side. Everything just looks, but just gather up some courage and be bold, be confident. In my case, I did my interview online. It was just like I'm presenting to you right now. That was how I had my interview. So it was not really, how will I put it? It was not really difficult, like when you actually go to a face to face or one to one interview where you get to, see the person, and you're fidgeting, you're, using a lot of trying to get over your anxiety and all of that. I mean, it's not bad to, reject. It's not bad to, you know, say some repeatedly. I would like to use some repetitive words, but just know what you're saying. Know what you're saying. Study your CV well. Some of us, I know, we just build our CV and then we just leave it because, I mean, it's not needed. They are, when they're asking you questions, they're actually looking at your CV. So whatever you're saying must align with what is you have in your CV, must correlate with what you have in your CV. If it doesn't align, if it doesn't match, it might be an issue. They will not tell you. Trust me, they won't tell you there that you are actually not in alignment. But then you just realize that you didn't get the job. Usually they don't tell you reasons why you don't get the job. They don't tell you reasons why they are not going to take you or why they prefer other candidates over you. But one thing you need to watch out for is your CV, what you have on your CV. Does it match what you are saying? Does it match your experience? Because they are going to ask you several things, and you need to be able to also talk about your past experience. And they might also ask you maybe just some interpersonal related questions, not really technical, because they know that it probably is an entry level, so you might not be an expert. So there's no point going deeper. They might just ask you something about, okay, a scenario that you've experienced in the past where you were able to, you know, show a leadership skill, like in what way, what has happened in the past or in your past role that made you, stand out, or that made you, you know, see yourself as a leader. And then you just have to come up with scenarios. Sometimes they might not be really true, but then you need to know how to come up with spontaneous scenarios. You need to be able to convince them that you are good for the job. And even when you know that you are not, or you don't have experience in that line, you should be able to show them that you're ready to learn and you're able to, give it all it takes to get further in that role. So, and you should be able to ask questions as well because they are expecting you to ask questions. They're expecting you to ask them questions because most times they are doing the whole talking, telling you about the role, telling you about the company, telling you what it all entails, and then when they are done, they are asking any question, and you're like, oh, it's all fine, no questions. Trust me, that could be the end. Like they might not never call you back because they do not expect that after all that talking, you do not have a question for them. So I will give you some tips. For example, if you have been asked, do you have any questions? And you truly do not have any question, but please come up with something. For example, you can ask, okay, is there a career growth in these regards, like in this role? Is there opportunity for me to grow? Is there an opportunity for me to, you know, grow from one level to another? Or is it just a streamlined role? For example, a customer service role doesn't really have a career growth, like career growth. It doesn't really have stages. I would say the only stage you might get to is maybe being a team lead, right? But in this role, there's actually a lot of stages. For me now, I started from level 12, and now I'm in level 11. So, you know, gradually you grow to level 10, level 9, level 8. In their case, it's like from bottom to top. So it's not like from level 1, 2, 3. So it's from bottom to top. So the lowest level is level 13. So yeah, you keep growing, growing, growing in that regards. And yeah, that's one question you should always ask. Is there career growth? How is the the learning space, like how is the environment? Is it a friendly environment to grow? Is it a friendly environment for for talent, for skills, you being able to speak up, you being able to, bring up ideas, bring up your opinions, and it will be heard. Is it that kind of environment that you're working into? I'm sure no company would outrightly tell you, oh, sorry, no, we do not support your opinion. We do not, listen to people. We do not. They won't tell you that. Of course, they will always want to sell themselves as well, telling you things like, oh yeah, there is a lot of diversity, it's a friendly environment. They'll tell you what they have to tell you, to win you over. But then sometimes it might not be the case when you get there. But in the case of Accenture, I will not lie to you. Accenture is a really, really good company. It's a company that actually promotes growth, and they are really diverse. They do not really care about your skin color. They don't discriminate or anything like that. They are really diverse, and they are also cultural, how will I put it, inclusive in that, because they also love values a lot. They give a lot of values. They expect a lot of values from you as well. They respect their employees. They respect everyone, and there is no form of how will I put it? There's no form of bias, or everybody's opinion is welcome. You are free to talk, you're free to share your ideas, you're free to speak up when necessary, you're not intimidated or anything like that. Only if you are just a shy person, but then you need to know how to relate with others as well. So, one skill that I did not mention here in this interpersonal skill is actually the ability to relate with other people. I mean, like relationship skills. So relationship skills, you need to be able to build relationship with everybody. I know that I mentioned communication skills, but it doesn't end there. You need to know how to carry everybody along. You need to know how to care for your colleagues. You need to have like a good relationship with everyone, not being a toxic person, not being that employee that everybody hates or everybody do not like to go to because you're strict, you are this, you are that. So it's more like a family in Essential, to be honest. Even though you hear things like your workplace is not your family, blah blah blah, but to be honest, I can say for sure that Essential is more like a family. um, it's more like a family setting because everybody gets to joke, play, and you get to enjoy yourself while working and all of that. So I guess that is all from my side. I don't know if there are any questions or anything that you need to know more about what I do. I'm giving you the floor to ask questions now. So if we have people online, please ask me questions. And I hope that I wasn't too fast and everything that I said, you understood them. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask me questions and I would be so generous to answer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Omolola. It was a very wonderful session. So there's a question here, but I would love to
Okay?
appreciate you for your time and the very insightful slides and explanations on how to get started as a sales analyst, right? And
Yeah.
also how you went about getting your job, the interview process, and the culture at Accenture, which is quite lovely. Okay, I remember when I also attended a an interview, right? With the part where you said you just have to come up with some scenarios, even if it's not true. And that's fact.
Yeah.
Sometimes we are asked questions that we don't that it never even happened, right? But because we need to answer that question beautifully, we cannot just stay silent. So we have to just look up something that comes. And I
Yeah.
remember something that myself even almost believed my own my own. All right. So there's a question which says that what's the difference between a marketing analyst and a sales analyst? You know, what their major differences and what the similarities? How do they work together?
Wow, that's actually a very good question. So, I will just give an idea. So, I think a marketing analyst is actually someone who helps to market the company's product or service. Like you put it out there, you advertise it for other companies to see or other organizations to actually see, and you are also able to analyze the market to know what the market wants and like when is the right time to actually put out the product or display the the services and all of that. So I think that's what a marketing analyst does. And a sales analyst is actually not a sales representative. I actually forgot to mention that earlier. A sales representative is someone who actually, those people who get on the phone to talk to the client. They are the one who convince the client to actually help the client to make the right choices, convince them to get to buy the particular product and all of that. But a sales analyst is someone who actually work behind the scene in giving recommendations, creating competitive analyses, and also helping the company to grow its how will I put it, grow its sales budget or something like that. But it's not necessarily a sales representative. They might not really get on a call with the client. For example, which is where I stand. Like I'm just a bit under a sales analyst. So I'm not a sales analyst, but I work hand in hand with a sales analyst. So I do not have the direct contact with my client. I don't talk to the client. I don't talk to the vendor. I just do the inside job. Everything that makes it looks good on the outside is what I do. I just do the inside job, like the back end, right? So for a marketing analyst, they are the ones that um, display the product, check the products, know the timeline on how to like put it out there, the product out there, and all of that. But they are not the same. The similarities between them might be that they are both analysts, right? That's maybe the only similarity, that they are both analysts, they both analyze their stuff, but they are not necessarily the same. So a market analyst is like a promoter, like is the one who helps, in the sense of promotion, advertising for the company and all of those things, but they do not, sell. They are not sales related. They are not sales how will I put it? Let me go back to the slide where yeah, so they don't forecast. Yeah, for example, they don't forecast. They don't make recommendations. They are just there to like help the company grow its market base on what they showcase on the outside. So I hope I'm able to like answer correctly, but if not, pardon me. But yeah, I'm not a marketing analyst, so I might not really be able to say exactly what you want to hear or what exactly it is, but this is just what I think it is. So yeah.
Thank you very much. She understands. Another question is, as a sales ecosystems analyst in Accenture, as a sales ecosystem analyst in Accenture, what, how do you monitor your success and how do you track your success and KPIs in the role?
Great. Lovely question. Lovely question. So there is this stuff we use. We don't use KPI. We use performance achievement in my company. So there is something called performance achievement. That's where you are able to um, monitor your growth. For example, you need to create your priorities. This priority I'm talking about is different from your workload priority. This is like your own growth priority. So, what probably you would love to achieve in the next 3 months, what you would love to achieve in the next 4 months, you have to write them all down. So your people lead is able to see it, is able to go through it, and able to also advise you on what to put in there and what should you shouldn't put in there. And you can also monitor it by putting a certain percentage on those priorities. So if you've already started working on them, you can keep increasing the percentage from 50% to 60% to 70% until you are on 100%. And once you get on 100%, it marks it as completed. So it means you completed your priorities for that month or for that fiscal year. And another way to monitor your growth is getting feedbacks. For me, I am a feedback person. I love feedbacks a lot because it helps me to grow and it also motivates me to move on. So I need feedback on what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. You should be able to also take constructive criticism. If you are not able to, you might not grow. So you should be able to, or you should be open to getting feedbacks, whether good or bad. It's just something that would help you to keep on, you know, or increase the pace in which you're working and also improve yourself in terms of skills, in terms of, learning and all of those things. So feedbacks is one of the things that actually helps me to monitor my growth. And those feedbacks are not only given to me, but they're also given to the manager or people, authorities at the top. And based on those feedbacks, they are able to, give you some bonuses. They're able to advise you on some things. They're able to promote you and all of those things. But also, you should have personal conversation with your people lead to tell you what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, so that you don't just keep working on in a particular direction and you don't even know if it's the right direction or it's the wrong one. So yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was
You're welcome.
quite insightful. One question is if one wants to apply maybe to Accenture Nigeria, what are the best advices you would give someone?
Well,
Or do you have some?
I don't know the recruitment process per se for Nigeria, but I think the best thing is to work on your skills. For example, if you see a position that you are interested in and it's for Accenture, read it well, check it well, and make sure that you tailor your CV in that regards. So, what do I mean? For example, if you get a sales analyst role and they're telling you that you need to have Excel and SCP skills, and then you have on your CV some other skills that is not needed. They are not even going to look at your CV twice. They're just going to pass it by because there is nothing related to what the job role says on your CV. So you need to tailor your CV to that job role. For me, I think when I was looking for a job, I actually had a lot of CVs, different CVs for different roles. It's not because I'm lying or anything, but it's just me willing to be open minded and learning in that direction. Even if I don't have that skills yet, as I mentioned in my presentation earlier, I learn some of those things even though I didn't work with them before. I had to learn it for the interview, I had to learn it for the job. So one thing that I will advise is always tailor your CV to what you think the job requires. It catches their attention. Once they open your CV, then that's like let it be the first thing they see. So when they see, they're like, okay, yeah, this is the right person for us. And then they can now check thoroughly and then maybe call you back or something like that. But always make sure that you actually tailor your CV, I mean, to the job role. And also, maybe another thing would be to learn about the company. Learn about the company because that's the first thing they are going to ask you. What do you know about Accenture? Why Accenture? So you need to be able to give them a background, be able to blow their minds, be able to sell their own company to them. Like tell them how you've been wanting to work with Accenture, it's like a dream come true for you. Sell yourself to them, and then I think it's one of the basic ways that you can win any company, aside even Accenture. But yeah,
Okay, thank you very much. That was beautiful. All right. There are no more questions, and I think we can call it a day for this webinar. I believe we've learned and we've basically done justice to the topic, which is to understand how to start a career as a sales analyst. I really thank you, Miss Omolola, for your time and for honoring our
thank you so
invitation to speak in this webinar. I will definitely invite you in future webinars, maybe on some other topics. So thank you very much for your time once more. And we are going to come to an end now. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending. For those that
thank you.
if the webinar, would send the YouTube link to them to, you know, revise and watch again. That's the beauty of recording this.
No problem.
Yeah.
No
All right.
problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Michael. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I guess that should be all from me. Thank you, and have a nice time and weekend.